From Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of the Omer, communal safety net. If we look at the counting of the Omer, we see that there are two types of countings that go on in the Torah, very distinct types. There's the Omer counting, which is a very distinct mitzvah. We have to articulate, say what day of the Omer it is. For instance, today is 24 days in the Omer. And then there's the counting of the Jubilee year, which, according to Tosfot, there is some sort of idea of counting. But according to the Ran, there is no idea of counting at all. The idea of counting is just automatic. It just automatically gets counted. As the Rabbi describes the position of the Ran, there's no mitzvah not to count in the heart, not to count with actually articulating the words. There's just no mitzvah at all. The 50th year, the Jubilee year, just happens. It happens because time passes and the 50th year comes. Whereas, when it comes to the counting of the Omer, we actually insist on a particular counting to articulate every individual, sfira l'cholachas ve'achas, cholacha ve'achad, to every single person to count. Now, this relationship of different types of Omer, of counting, can relate in general to a broader issue of the relationship of the individual and the community. If we go back to the question of the Omer, the Baal Halachos Gedolos, the Bahag, with great authority who lived before Rashi, before the Rambam, he said, of course, famously, that if you miss one day, you've missed it all. Now, bear in mind, most authorities disagree. Tosfot vehemently disagree. They say, lo yitachin, it's not possible. But in deference to the Bahag, if we miss one day, we missed it all. In other words, what's his position? He says there has to be actual counting. There's no such thing as some artificial edifice of the 50 days that creates Shavuos. Without your actual counting, the mitzvah is lost. You have to actually count. The Tosfot say that, no, you could still count. If you miss one day or 2 days or 10 days, you could still count on the days when you can count. Apparently, he agrees somewhat to Rabbi Akiva Eiger's formulation of the Jubilee year, that the days happen. The days, if let's say I just woke up today and said, oh, today's the 24th day of the Omer. I didn't count until now. Well, it is the 24th. You know, it is the Jubilee year on the Jubilee year. It doesn't matter if anybody was counting all the way there. You can look on a calendar, you can see that that's what it is. And if there was just a big sign that says, this is the Jubilee year, and no one ever noticed it before, that would be fine. And so Tosfot says, if today happens to be the 24th, you don't need anyone else to have counted until now. Now, so these are two different views of the counting of the Omer. Is it sort of automatic, or does it require sort of action each day to count it in order to make it work? Rabbi Soloveitchik of blessed memory raised the question when I was in his class of, how can we have Shavuos today? How could you possibly have Shavuos, the holiday which is on the 50th day? According to many authorities, the counting of the Omer is only rabbinic. How can you have a rabbinic counting, which is only required by rabbinic law, which creates a Torah holiday of Shavuos? I assume Shavuos is a Torah law, even nowadays. What's going on? And secondly, what if I forgot to count the Omer? I mean, does that ruin Shavuos? What if everybody forgot to count the, God forbid, all Jews forgot to count the Omer? It's inconceivable, but let's say there was such a day, such a year. Then would there be no Shavuos? So he quoted the Medrash, different Midrashim one can find. I found the Sifra, says, B'chol moshvo zichem, l'doro zichem. It says in the Parshat Emor, next week's Parsha, that the counting of the Omer is for all generations and all your habitations. So, what does that mean? That there's always Shavuos. There's always going to be Shavuos. Now the question is, why? Why is there always Shavuos? So you could say as follows. Even according to the Bahag, who says if you miss one day, you miss the whole thing, he agrees that there is some sort of artificial concept of 50 days, irrespective of your counting. At least vis-a-vis Shavuos. And even if it's rabbinic, it's still counted sort of automatically when it turns, just like when the Jubilee year hits, it's the Jubilee year. When the 50th day comes, it is the 50th day and it's Shavuos. And perhaps one could suggest that even if I forgot to count on a particular day, since everybody else is counting, it's good enough. There's a communal type of counting. Now, if you take that position, that your counting makes my Shavuos happen, that explains the minhag, the custom we have of how to count. You see, if it's a totally personal kind of a mitzvah, why do we count communally? I mean, we try, at the minyan, we try to count communally. And the rabbi counts, or the chazan counts, for everybody. Of course, then everyone goes and counts on their own, but why does the rabbi count? Is it just for those who didn't get the mitzvah? One might suggest that the rabbi or the chazan is counting. We do it in the context of davening. Many people do it before Aleinu, before the davening is over, within the communal minyan context. Why? Because that counting, the communal counting, that is affixing the counting for all individuals. According to Tosfot, it's making it firm that today is 24. Even if you missed today, it's 24 for today, 25 for tomorrow. We as a community have established it. According to everybody, it establishes today's 24, and a few weeks from now will be Shavuos. It establishes it communally. The community establishes when is Shavuos. Now, this idea that sometimes we drop out and the community holds the framework and the structure, this is true of many areas, isn't it? I mean, you have a community, you have a synagogue that's set up, and people just sort of waltz in, having not paid dues for 10 years. They just sort of waltz in, and there it is. There's a community. There's a structure. There's a framework that's set up. The state of Israel, right? Some of us have been more involved in establishment of the state of Israel, the support and sustenance of the state, sustaining the state of Israel. And some just walk in on a birthright trip, and there it is. It's ready for you. The community set up the structure. Or take learning, right? Learning keeps going on and on and on. And then when you want to, you just walk into that structure, and there it is. Magnificent books with deep research that people have done over the millennium. It's unbelievable. And the community keeps us going. And after all, what is this parsha about this coming week? It's mot and kedoshim, the community, the communal forgiveness and mot, the communal kedusha that's set up when you love your neighbor as yourself, and I love my neighbor as myself, and I give to the orphan, the widow, and the poor, and you give to the orphan, the widow, and the poor, and we don't put stumbling blocks in front of others, and so on and so on. We don't take revenge, etc., etc. This, we create kedoshim to you, not just my holiness, your holiness. We create something communal. And that's a framework people can drop in and drop out. And the community goes on and on and on. The ha-omer, it's a particular legalistic question in which the structure of the community can perhaps sustain the dropout individual. But this is true in all realms of life. The Jewish community is here, and it's ready for individuals to pop in and take advantage of that framework and structure that's set up by the community for anyone who wants to come, anyone who wants to come and take it. The framework, the community, is there. Thank you for joining us here at the Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation for our discussion of the ha-omer and its continuity. Join us each week for a discussion of the Parsha and the various holidays, how-to Judaism, our recent video about the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet, the Aleph Bet. And thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.